Behind the scenes. Hey everybody, this is Rebecca Friedlander, creator of Thin Places. I just wanted to take you a little bit deeper into the process of creating this film. I really do travel around the world with my camera, and I filmed everything myself with the exception of the drone footage for this project, and edit it completely myself. And so I just get to go on a lot of adventures and meet some amazing people, and then call all my friends and say, hey, do you want to dress up in costume? Have you ever acted before? Oh, well, it's okay. I'll just pray over you and we'll film. It'll be fun. Awesome. Thank you. And the beautiful thing about Thin Places is that I really didn't have a lot of time to think it through. It really happened organically. The first film, Celtic Pilgrimage, was an amazing journey. And as I was sharing that film in churches, people were asking, how did these Celtic saints live? What were their communities like? And after watching the first film, it gave them some answers, but it really opened up a whole new journey of questions. And so Thin Places is really my attempt to answer some of those questions. And really, I'm just a pilgrim. There's so many people who have studied the Celtic saints far more than I have. But what I can do is tell some amazing stories. And hopefully within those stories, it'll bring us some more perspective and maybe help us to ask a few more good questions. Waking on sleeping, thy presence by night. This film was shot on location in 5 different places. So the first one was Scotland, and I went around with Lance Cantor and his team of missionaries, and we just filmed in the Highlands. I stuck my head out of the sunroof and shot all this footage, and we just really had a fun time. Some of the scenes have a really fun story to the making of them, including this bridge, which was in a little Highland community. So evidently it was warm enough in Scotland that day for everyone to go swimming, although it wasn't incredibly warm to me, but I'm from Southern California, so what do I know? Every time I filmed with my actors in public, I got asked the same questions. Are you filming for Star Wars or Outlander?
Mommy, Daddy, a force.
Something. Filming with Jeff was a lot of fun. He always kept it light, and I literally just roped him into playing a Dominion. We filmed all of his acting parts in one evening, and his little boy, Archie, actually played the baby in the scene. All right, okay, and ready?
No. You shouldn't have ever called me Jeff. I was in character.
All right.
A Damnan.
That's me.
Okay. And 1, 2, 3, rolling.
You haven't honored me.
Look over there.
He's like,
Archie.
what are we doing?
Hey, Archie.
No, stay there, Carlos. Stay there.
Mike played St. Kevin, which was totally on a whim. We were literally just driving through the Highlands and saw this amazing field, and I just had this hunch that there was something there. I think Mike's wife, Debbie, pointed out this field, and I was like, yeah, I think there's something there. So we pulled out of this field in the middle of nowhere, and in Scotland you have the right to roam. So we just jumped out and came across this amazing little stone, kind of this ancient wall in this forest, and I was like, Mike, would you be willing to play St. Kevin? Because this is exactly what I envisioned for Kevin. And so he graciously did. The costumes were all created by myself. My favorite wool monk costume came about in Scotland. I didn't even know I was going to be filming up there. And then I thought, you know what? I wish I would have brought a costume. Where can I get some wool fabric? And strangely enough, it's very hard to find wool fabric in Scotland. And so I just started praying. And then I looked in my wardrobe closet where I was staying at this mission house. And there in the closet was a gray wool blanket. And I thought, I think maybe this is the answer to my prayer. So I got permission and cut it up and turned it into a wool costume. And we just used that thing over and over and over. It became this incredible, fun asset to the film.
St. Aidan's mantle has a really special story behind it. Barbara McNeish created this by hand. She's an amazing artist, and she gathers wool from different islands in Scotland and then weaves them all together, and then she puts a gold thread representing Christ, who really brings us all together. And so this is a really special piece that she wove and created by hand on her hand loom specifically for this film. So I just, it's such a treasure.
So here we are behind the scenes filming the voiceovers for Thin Places in Scotland. Michael, who is an amazing voice, and his wife Gail, who is an amazing voice. Michael and I both have colds, so we're like putting the tissue box to good use here.
It's gone.
I should get more tissue, shouldn't I?
Because we're like...
Oh look, there's more tissues. There you go. Use those.
The supply continues.
We'll finish when the tissues have all gone.
And then filming in Ireland, Mary Hamilton was able to find someone who had a boat like the ancient Celts would have used, and this one is called the Lion of Judah in Gaelic.
Céad míle fáilte go Cuile Gcuine a hagann ó America go dtí Oileán Inis Caithfidh áit na Rugú Sinán.
There were several interviews shot around Northern Ireland, which is part of the United Kingdom, with some friends as we were looking for thin places and just investigating the idea of what a thin place is. Obviously, as an American, this was really intriguing to me. And then filming in England, I went to Northern England to film Andy Rain and had an amazing time on Holy Island in Lindisfarne. And then traveling to Canada to interview John and Carol Arnott. It really felt like I was connecting the dots within this film just by traveling locations that had been important to the Celtic saints. Of course, Canada is mentioned in the film. It's one of the places that people from Scotland really immigrated to. In fact, Nova Scotia means New Scotland. And so a huge piece of this film really ties in with Canada. And then I came back to the United States and filled in some of the reenactments in 3 different states: California, Alaska, and Texas. So in Alaska, I called all my friends who are used to all my crazy ideas, and we just put some things together to really reenact some of the pieces that we couldn't all get done in Scotland. And so I filmed in an abandoned gold mine. Definitely had some weather challenges along the way. I would try to film myself in Alaska, and it wasn't always successful, but I would have a bit of a pocket of good weather during the day where it wasn't absolutely pouring, and would throw my hair up and in bobby pins after curling it and run out and try to get at least one intro during the day. And of course, we filmed the feast scenes in this gold mine in Alaska, and it was just super fun. There's just such a sweet spirit of community. Laura did such a great job acting out the stranger part. And rolling! She plays about 1 billion different instruments, and that's really her playing. And her sister, Abigail, was St. Hilda. And so we had some fun together behind the scenes filming those pieces. And even more behind the scenes, the dog, Lupin, has decided to hang out. She's like our moral support behind the scenes. Yeah, she's the mascot. Caedmon was also filmed in Alaska by Joseph, which was wonderful, and I kept trying to film around the graffiti as we were filming his shots. And then filming in California. There were some pieces left that needed to be shot, and my actor for Columba is Chad, who lives in California, and so we just met up and we added Craig to the team, and Craig and his family pastor a church called The Awakening, and so the whole family came down, and it was super fun. And so the pastor played the angel, and Columba was played by Chad in a cave on the beach in California. Filming the Ludlam family is always a fun, positive experience. So Julie Ludlam and the children were the immigrants, and we filmed them on the beach. It was just a crazy, awesome scene. Dressed them all up in different costumes that looked a bit like the 1800s, the mid-1800s.
That's in their outtakes for sure.
That's right. The mom moment of opening up the cranberry juice so that we can pour it into the cup without
Missy,
being
honey,
seen.
hold on. We're gonna have some in the cups.
And then that same day, filmed Michael Ludlam on the beach. Now, both Michael and Julie are professional actors. They've done quite a bit of acting, and so it's always a huge treat. Of course, Michael always looks like he could step into or out of a Charlton Heston movie about the Bible, and so it's pretty fun. And I had fun because I usually have to encourage people to get in the water, but Michael was like right into the ocean. And this actually works with the stories that we hear of the Celtic saints. They would go into areas of chilly water in Ireland, Scotland, and England, and they would actually stand in a river, or they would stand in the ocean and say their prayers. And the idea was that they really wanted to discipline themselves to be able to focus on God no matter what was going on around them. And so they would use the forces of nature to try to make things uncomfortable for themselves, and so they could discipline and keep their mind on Christ. And this was something that was really important to them. But there's also really fun stories of how nature would come around them and help them to do this. Like there's stories of some of the early Celtic saints and how they would go into the ocean to pray, but the sea otters and the seals would come and swim around them in the water and actually come and lay on their feet or come up against their legs and help keep them warm in the frigid waters. So while they used the forces of nature to help discipline themselves, it would seem that nature itself was also drawn to those who wanted to commune with the Holy Spirit and who were passionate about a life of prayer. And then traveling to Texas to film the Fellowship of Christian Swordsmen, Dawson and Joseph in this particular scene. And I just have to give them props because it was over 100 degrees that day and we're fighting it out in the heat, but it looks amazing.
Rolling.
And so did Anna, our female sword fighter actress, and she is an amazing sword fighter. She's given me some sword fighting lessons, and wow, she just knocked it out of the park. The music is by a Scottish band called Clan and Drumma, and they are absolutely amazing. I totally think everyone should go out and buy their music. And I also used some of Lynette's music. She is a friend of mine and just so amazing. And there are a couple tracks that I used from her CD. And there are also some pieces that she and I just recorded as we were sitting down with some instruments and she was playing her flute and we were both doing vocals. And I just turned on my audio recorder and captured it and ended up using that in the film as well. Nobody's gotten paid. Everybody just jumped on board and said, yeah, let's tell these stories.
We're chilling here looking for my friend named Kevin. I used to be discipled by this guy named Evan.
Happy birthday, dear AJ. Happy birthday to you. This just represents a small percentage of the people who jumped on board with this film. I am so grateful, and I look forward to seeing how these stories may impact you. So I hope it's inspiring to learn from other stories and hopefully to go out and tell your own story and to realize, you know what, if you've got a couple cameras and a lot of friends, you can do this too.
That's that.
That was better.